Given its close proximity to the Gulf of Mexico, Houston, Texas is overwhelmingly vulnerable to the damaging effects of extreme storms, particularly with regards to storm surge. As our climate continues to warm, conditions will become more favorable for extreme storms, such as the very recent Hurricane Harvey in 2017. Houston, along with all coastal cities along the Gulf of Mexico, are obviously vulnerable to extreme storms due to their locations along the coast. However, Houston remains particularly vulnerable to storm surge and heavy periods of precipitation, which ultimately leads to flooding within the city. This vulnerability can be directly attributed to the rapid development of the city, with little or no attention placed on the development of an adequate drainage system that can adequately support the rapid influx in water. To add more insult to injury, all of the surrounding wetlands that would serve as a natural flood control measure have been replaced by development. Though the global precipitation levels are essentially the same now as they were in the 50s, climate models suggest not an increase in storm frequency, but an increase in storm intensity as our climate becomes warmer. That is, warmer waters and higher atmospheric moisture content produce favorable conditions for the gestation of extreme storms. Unfortunately, Houston is far from where it needs to be in order to protect its coast. Local officials are currently asking Congress for funding in order to build a storm surge barrier, but unfortunately, all of the money received to date must be spent on the rehabilitation of the city. That said, Houston will remain unprotected and particularly vulnerable in the foreseeable future. As we move into the future, the residents of Houston and America as a whole will have to decide whether Houston is worth the investment for the storm surge barrier. And as always, moving away from the coast will always be an option. Lastly, there are more quick impact options that could potentially address the flooding issue within the city, such as ecological restoration and better coding for development. Options such as these can facilitate a sustainable approach to the ongoing issue as we move forward into the future.